So hello everyone and welcome back to another episode. As you can probably tell already, we are not at the plot and we are down in the garden again. So my plans today are to tidy the shed a bit because I've left it to get a bit of a mess. And also what we're going to be doing in the shed is going to be slightly different now that we've got the greenhouse. So I'm not going to be using it for potting anymore because I can do that in the greenhouse. So this is going to be more for storing tools, stuff like that really. So I've got the shed to tidy, greenhouse to tidy, and I've also got the garden to tidy, as it's still quite a mess from taking down the old greenhouse, building the pond, building the new greenhouse. So let's have a look at what I've got to do. So looking around the garden, you can see here lots of mess. All these bits were moved to put in the new greenhouse. There's the old greenhouse to be moved away, and then bits of wood and stuff around from building the pond, the greenhouse, etc. So then moving on, we've got the shed, which I've allowed to become a bit of a mess. There is a dehumidifier in there at the moment because I did notice it was getting a little bit wet in here at times. So that's been on for the last couple of weeks, trying to dry this out a little bit, and it has dried out quite a bit. And then the greenhouse. I'm not going to open it just yet because it's still quite warm. I've still got bits to finish unpacking inside, as you can probably see, and a bit of tidying up to do in there. So I think I'm going to start with the shed. So one thing that I have noticed in here is where it got damp, we've had some issues with the flooring. So the adhesive underneath has become, well, not sticky anymore. It's not holding it down. So my plan is at some point soon is to get some Gorilla type glue just to hold this down, and hopefully we can sort that issue out. One of the other problems that I'm having in here as well is where it's been quite damp. In the back of some of the cupboards we've got some mould forming. I don't know whether this is in part due to having a door on here, which is stopping any ventilation, but I'm going to consider getting rid of this door and make some other plans for this little area here. So I have been tidying for most of the day. It's now about 2:30 in the afternoon. I did start about 10 o'clock, something like that. I did get a bit distracted. I did have the iPad with some videos up as well, which I was watching at the same time. And I have had a little bit of a shimmy round with stuff inside the shed as well. So let's go and have a look. So coming in here, we can immediately see a difference. You can see the floor for a start, which is always a bonus. And you can also see that I have on the floor added some Gorilla tape. This is just to repair those gaps between the pieces of plastic on the floor here. It just means that I can now actually clean the floor in here properly, and we don't get dust and bits of rubbish going underneath these tiles. I've had a bit of a shimmy round with some bits in here as well. So this sofa, as you can probably tell, is now more up towards the wall. Only downside with this is that at this point it's kind of in front of where the door is. However, when you open the door, you can see it doesn't actually intrude that much on the door space. Obviously Hoover doesn't live in here. I've just stolen that for Day to Hoover out in here. And you might remember there was drawers at this end. These have now moved to this end here because I wanted to make a bit more space up that end. The big new thing in here is we've got an electric fireplace. So this used to be in our old house. When we moved here, there was already an electric fireplace in the living room, so this one was kind of surplus to requirement. So it's been sat in the garage since. But I thought I'd bring it out here, especially as it seems to fit in that gap perfectly. So it's not real flames, it is sort of lights behind that are making it look like there's flames. But there is a fan heater on the front of it above the flames, which blows hot air down this little corridor perfectly. And then on top, we've got a little shelf where we can put our air freshener, which is quite nice. The next thing I've added is the signs on this wall. So I did used to have the tomato one in the middle, but I've added a couple more. So there's the Wish You Were Beer sign. That came from Dobby's. It was reduced from $12.99 down to £1. And I thought it was quite funny. Tickled me a little bit. But I do have in the past enjoyed sort of sitting out here with a beer with one of my friends when we've had a barbecue, which has been quite nice. The other sign that we've got is, to you it may only be a shed, but to me it's a sanctuary. As you probably see, I do kind of treat it as a bit of a man cave in here as well. So it is a bit of a sanctuary. Now the sign here, it's the second time I've actually had this sign. So the first time was a few years ago. My mother-in-law bought it for my shed at our old house. and it took pride of place on the front of that shed until someone drove their car into our garden and destroyed the shed and the sign along with it. So it's nice to have that one back again. The next new thing in here is these drawer systems from Aldi. So we were in there doing our weekly shop yesterday and they had these in there for £8.99, and I thought, do you know what, I'm sure I'll use those in my shed somewhere. So what I've done is, you might remember I used to have boxes like this in all the shelving units here, full of tools and screws and bits and bobs. So all the items in here were just chucked into one box, and it was a nightmare to find the right screw and things. So now we've got everything separated into these little drawers. So I've got a drawer of hinges, I've got drawers of IKEA attachments, and then many drawers of screws as well. Which is really helpful when you want to find a particular size screw. You don't have to scrabble around one box. Other than that, not a lot else has changed in here, other than it being a bit tidier really. So that is what I've been up to today. It was supposed to be a garden, greenhouse, shed tidying day, but with the rearranging in here and adding the fireplace, etc., it's ended up being a shed day rather than anything else. That being said, I did manage to do a bit on the pond earlier. So you may remember I built that a few weeks ago, start of January, end of December. And there was a net just left over the top of that to sort of protect the fish a little bit. What I have done with that now is put some hooks in the wood just to hold that on properly, that netting, to hold it out of the water and stop it from blowing away. So I think it's been quite productive in here today. We also had the little move around, we've got the fireplace in, got the signs up, and just generally tidy everything in here. And of course I did mention I got a bit distracted by the iPad. I've had Monty Python playing on in the background, which has distracted me a little bit and slowed me down. So that's kind of what I've been up to today. So the last thing that I did want to mention in this video is my new Amazon wish list. So it is possible to monetize from YouTube, but I don't have anywhere near enough subscribers to do that. So I think you need 1,000, and I'm still not even at 100 yet. So I'm a long way off. I know you can monetize. It makes you a few pennies here and there. As I say, I don't do that. So everything that I use on my channel is things that I've bought at my own money. Because again, I don't get stuff to review because I have, well, less than 100 subscribers, and it's not worth companies giving me stuff to review. So I've seen other YouTube creators create Amazon wish lists. As I said, I've created one which I'm going to put a link to at the bottom of this video. And all that is essentially a list of things that I want for my allotment, that I've put there for me to look at a later date when I've got spare bits of cash here and there. It does also mean that if people want to go onto my wish list and want to, you know, donate me an item, so there's on mine there's different packs of seeds which I'm after, and a few other bits and bobs of sort of varying amounts. People can come and donate something towards my channel. It's by no means something you have to do. It's if you want to give something back to the channel, and it really is greatly appreciated if you do. It does make, as I said, a difference. I spend a fair amount on seeds and things for my allotments, so anything extra that I get is a bonus really. There are some items in there which are a lot more expensive, which are, as I do not expect anyone to buy any of those. Those are just for my interest in the future, because I thought it made more sense having one wish list rather than one for people to look at and one for me to have other bits in, so it's all in one place for me. So as I say, if you do want to have a look at that and feel like donating me a pack of seeds or something like that, there's a link at the bottom of the channel, bottom of the video. So other than that, that is me done for today really. I do hope to be back out tomorrow cleaning the garden and greenhouse, and I'll film little bits and bobs for that as well. So all that's left for me to say is thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing if you like what you've seen, and equally like videos if you like them. Other than that, take care. Happy allotmenting.